Erica, and I'm part of BookOrators, a global student organization that aims to instill a love for literature in youth. As part of our guest speaker series, we are joined by Miss Ebby Fields, who is an author as well as the founder of Ebby's Book House. It's an organization that provides online writing coaching and a collection of books written by Miss Fields. We have reached out to her today because we wanted to show our listeners that it's possible to pursue your interests in literature and writing, as well as sharing that love for writing with others, as Miss Fields has done. We are so excited to have you today to talk to us and our viewers.
Okay, yes. The funny thing is, I've always really have enjoyed writing since I was a little girl. I tell people this story, how when I was 11, I wrote a mystery story for Disney. And at the time there was no email, so I mailed them a letter, and I actually got a rejection letter back from Disney at 11, them telling me that they had their own writers. So that it's always been in me. And I went on to go to college and attend Baylor University, where I was a journalism major. Actually, I got into journalism, writing for the school paper, went on to work for Fox TV Entertainment Group. I wanted to be a reporter / anchor, but I decided to go more on the marketing side, where I can help market one pieces and write different pieces for the TV stations to brand the programs. As time went on, I've continued to do several different marketing jobs where I write press releases, come up with different marketing campaigns. And one day my husband said to me, "Why don't you write a children's book? You always come up with creative stories." And I said, "You know what? That's not a bad idea." So one day I started writing Zenie and the Magical Hummingbirds, which is my first book. It's about a boy in Jamaica that basically has it all, but decides to run away from home because he thinks he's bored. And he comes across two magical hummingbirds that take him around the island, where he learns the value of friendship, family, and love, and the importance of home. So that was my first book, and it was a wonderful project. And I enjoyed being so creative and allowing my thoughts and imagination to go on paper, and see the final project completed was just so rewarding for me. So as time has gone on, I continued writing and coming up with the different stories and fairy tales. Last year, I published Zoey and the Magical Hummingbirds, which has been doing phenomenal, and recently won a 5-star review from Reader's Favorite. And that's about a little girl who runs away from home when she comes across a new sibling's born, and she feels like she's not loved by her parents. So she decides to run away, and she comes across the two magical hummingbirds that show her around the island, and where she's able to meet people and friends that teach her the value of love, family, and friendship again. So yeah, that's my writing journey. And it's not stopping. Yeah, I'm working on my third book right now. Yeah.
That's really great. And you just kind of answered my second question, which was what inspired you to write your first children's book?
Basically, with going to Barnes and Noble and going to different bookstores, another reason why I wanted to start writing is because I did notice a lack of diversity in the children's book section. And my husband and I, at the time, we were planning to have a baby. And my husband said, "Why don't you just, write a children's book, and, our kids will have books to read where they see characters that reflect them, where they see them." And I not only wanted to do that for my kids, but for kids around the world to be able to see themselves in my children's books.
I know, yeah, definitely growing up, there wasn't a lot of representation. There still isn't, but it's unfortunate, but I think we're getting more characters with diverse stories and backgrounds, yes, which is really great, because I know definitely would have wished when I was younger to see someone who looked like me, came from like a similar background, to have like, a regular children's story, one that I could identify with and have like my mom read to me at bedtime. Yeah.
Exactly. And when young children see themselves in the books and in the characters, that also encourages literacy, encourages them to want to read more and write. That's a good question. My first book, no, I did not. But eh, one thing a lot of authors go through when they put out their first book is you'll come across naysayers. People like, why would you want to read that book, write that book, or do this, or have that character? But you have to be focused and committed to your message that you want to put out. So with the first book, I didn't receive that extra encouragement that I expected. But after I published it, I realized who I needed the encouragement from. And that was from the children who read my book. Met so many children that loved my story, loved my hummingbirds, loved the characters, loved, the adventure of going around the island of Jamaica, and it encouraged me to write more. And so knowing and understanding what they love encouraged me to write my second book, which has done well. And this second round, I have now created a network of wonderful people and other children's book authors that see me as a talented upcoming author. And I am receiving now mentorship and advice from other um, seasoned authors. Third book that I'm working on to get published, I actually have three that are in the pipeline. I do have a third book to my series of the Magical Hummingbirds that I'm completing, which has to do with a brother and sister that decide to run away from home because they're moving and they don't want to leave Jamaica. They're moving to the United States. So they come across the two hummingbirds that show them around parts of the United States, and they learn, to love a new move, love family, friendship, and that nothing's wrong with moving to a new state, a new home. And I'm really excited about this story, having a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. And when we moved from Houston, Texas to uh, Arizona, it was a challenge. And so I know it's important for young children to understand that a move is big, but it could be a big positive change for you and your family. So looking forward to having that completed this year. I'm also working on a board book, a small board book that will really target the little ones, little babies. And I've completed my rough draft on a fairy tale. So basically, with my writing process, great question, is I do have a place where it's my place of Zen. And I I'm into gems, crystals, about having good energy, good calming space to write. I typically don't go to a different location or a restaurant or coffee shop. I like to be home in my home office and just continue to write. And when I'm writing, I like to have a little background music. And for me, it's a consistent type of like a jazz instrumental. For me, it helps me stimulate my creative juices, and it helps me consistently stay on flow with what I'm writing. And everybody's different. Everybody has something different that they need to hear, whether it's running water or nothing at all, or different white noise that they need to listen to get going. But mine is jazz. So when I'm ready and I'm in the space to start writing, I always just jot down ideas. I do. I jot down the scene and the characters, just short points of where I'm going with it. Like my first scene will be, the kids are on the beach. What is the conversation? And I just write down one or two, three things that they are going to talk about or what happens in that scene. Then I go on to scene two and I jot down that scene. Then, when I have all my scenes throughout my book jotted down, then I go to the writing process and just basic rough draft, just not worrying about misspelling or anything like that at first. You just write, and then you go back and add details, and then after you add your details, then you go back and do the revising and the editing.
And I guess then you get your scenes illustrated and you kind of work back and forth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So doing it that way, having that process of just not rushing and just writing, but jotting your ideas, then doing a rough draft, then revising, and then editing. Throughout the writing process, I am having the scenes in my head like a movie. And so I do have an idea for the illustrator how I want each scene to look. And so once I'm done with my writing piece, I do work with an illustrator, and I'm able to communicate with them exactly how I want my characters to look. Everything from their hair, their skin tone, to their eyes, to what they're wearing, their shoes, and everything, their height. Right. No, it happens to all of us. It really does. And the best thing to do is just take that time to just write. Just write. Even if you don't have what you want to put exactly yet, you have to just get in front of your laptop or your computer or whatever, or pen and paper, and just write. And when you do that, things start coming. And every workshop that I've gone to as an author, they say the same thing. You just start typing. Don't try to make sense of anything. Just type your ideas. For me, it is when I have writer's block, I just start carrying around like my journal, my pen and paper, and I just start writing and writing. And then my thoughts come together. And then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go back and start finishing up the story, typing more on this scene. Yes, because Maya Angelou said it best. Everybody has a story to tell, and it's true. And there's so many people around the world of different backgrounds, you know, from different countries and everything, that have different stories that other people need to read about and hear and learn from. And some people are just scared and think they can't do it. To me, I feel like anybody can write a book if you take the time to really know how to articulate your thoughts on paper, um, focus on your voice, sentence fluency, things like that in your paper. You can share your story with the world with the right necessary tools and resources. And so that's what I try to provide with Ebby's Book House. Early in the morning, I'm working on things with Ebby's Book House, whether it's accounting, honestly, stuff about, payments for certain things like that. Also looking into different organizations that I can work with. This past weekend, I worked with the Kids Need to Read, where I was able to set up my books and help with the organization, pass out free highlight magazines and little books and toys for the kids at a little festival here in Arizona. So I spend my days finding those events where I can not only encourage literacy, but also promote what I'm doing as well. Also, I spend really my evenings writing. That's when things really come to me. Throughout the day, I may see a child, a little girl or a little boy or somebody where I'm just like, I could see my character kind of being like that or saying something, like that. And so my day is pretty much just busy, but yet still organized on how I do things. And people need to know, when do you write the best? When do you think your creative juices flow? And if you think you're a morning person, write in the morning. If you think you're late afternoon, write in the late afternoon. If you're midnight, write at midnight. I can tell you, my stories, a lot of things I put together for me has been like midnight to 3 p.m. That's when I get going. My advice is, if you believe in your story, whether the message or the education that you want to provide, write it and it will happen. Just stay committed to your project. And once you're done, it's the most rewarding feeling to know that you've put this out there, and you're about to share it with the world. So definitely stay committed. Keep writing and reading. The more you read various different types of books, different types of styles from different authors, you will continue to find your style and the way you like to do things, as you learn from other authors. Attend as many writing workshops as possible. Everybody's growing, even seasoned uh, authors still attend workshops, yeah, just so they can continue their creative juices, learn from other authors on how they handled the structure of different stories and quotes and things like that within their story. I do recommend, for me, I do get this question, and it's always coming from a children's book author area, so with me, the Bernstein Bears, little stories like Jack and the Beanstalk, and like Cat in the Hat by Dr. Seuss. And the reason why is because they're all different in a way. Now, what I like about Jack and the Beanstalk is how the writing is done, as far as taking you on a magical journey. With it starts off with a little key, and if you think about the whole idea of the story, how creative the author was on thinking about a magical peas that grow up to a beanstalk to find a giant in the sky. When you read a story like that, you think, wow, my imagination is limitless. You can be creative any type of way. The way the Bernstein Bears is written as a series over and over, it teaches different lessons throughout, and which is a different type of children's book. And then with Dr. Seuss, he likes to rhyme. He has a way of rhyming throughout the whole book. And next thing you know, you read like 57 pages and not realize it was 57 pages of a children's book, like, the Cat and the Hat. And but it's a story told in through rhyme. And so I choose those books as I can say that as a children's book author, because you can get a different feel of different writing styles and create your own. So that's what worked for me. So in my book, of course, it's a magical story. They go through an adventure. There are lessons taught about family, love, home, different, values about friendship. And and I love that. And then also I have rhyming in my book, because I put a little song that the hummingbirds sing, every time they take Zoey or Zenie around the island of Jamaica. So through those different books, I was able to find my own style as well. One of my favorite books I remember reading in high school was The Joy Luck Club. Uh, yes, that's a great book, and it breaks down different stories and how the author communicates these different stories is just amazing, because you hear the voice of the characters in that story, which is important, and their hurt or their love or their excitement. So, yeah.
The Joy Luck Club is one of my favorites too, so I
Oh, okay.
definitely agree.
Yes, yes.
And thank you so much, Miss Fields, for joining us today. And I'm sure our viewers enjoyed the conversation and learned as much as I did. And to our viewers, stay on the lookout for the next installment of our speaker series. Remember to check out our website, BookOrators.org, and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates at BookOrators. And make sure to check out Miss Fields' website, which is Ebby's Bookhouse, on the web.
Yes, thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you today. I wish all of you all the best of luck.